Yes. Okay, perfect. So we are going to achieve this web page, this second web page, the bash manipulate text file in bash. Okay. So as we mentioned last time, the best way to okay, to kind of update. Let's say the first one is going to be entering directly into the SE data. Okay, and then do a git pull, and this will synchronize with the database, with the GitHub database that we are creating, and bringing down all the different data set that we put for the exercise on. Then we can do the R sync. So we can already start to use the Control R and do it R sync. It will come up immediately, especially if you already use it. Or you can also navigate into the OSGeo Live for Spatial Ecology courses, and then if you're scrolling down, you have this line over here. Okay, git clone, you have it over here. This is the line that we transfer to the from the SE data to the my SE data. Perfect. So again, is over here, prepare SGLI for spatial ecology, and then one of the last line is over here. Pay attention that sometimes if we do some update into the web page, your browser will not, even if you refresh it, will not recognize the update. So what I use it, I usually open, I navigate as an incognito, and then navigate to the web page. In this way, the cache of the web page are not stored, and every time that we do an update, you are able to see. So sometimes happen that you click in one page, you can still the old version, see the old version, so you cannot see the app. But if you open as an incognito, then you always see the new refreshment, because in the incognito, the cache are not downloading every time. They download every time, and they are not stored as a permanent in the computer. So at this point, when you make the R sync, you can navigate into the /media. You can navigate over here, and we can start to use it. The file CD exercise. We always enter in the CD exercise, and then we open with the Jupyter laptop. Be careful here. There are two. Intro is the one that we did last week. So you need to do the inter, that stands for intermediate. So you paste. Control A is also to go to the first line, and then you do Jupyter Lab, and we are ready to go. Okay, and this one is nothing else that this web page that is here. Okay, so we have always synchronized the web page and also the data set in this way. For a faster checking, it's very useful the web page. In this way, you can go fast and see. Rather for the hands-on and the trial, is better to use the Jupyter Lab. Okay, so at this point, you can hit enter, and you can. So everybody's here, I think, no? Yeah, thumbs up. Yeah, perfect. Very good. So we waited that it's opening. Let me put the chat also here, in this way somebody writing. Okay, very good. It's opening. So we will continue with the bash interface. I open also another terminal just in case I need for some manual page troubleshooting and so on, and we progress from here. I 1 second. Bash. Okay. Okay, perfect. So we were yes, we are going to use this. We are entered directly. We are in exercise, so we can see that the text file. We're going to use it. Second. So we are going to use it, the folder txt file, where we have files where we can working with. Okay, so first of all, today we're going mainly to see some command that we did last time, but also some new one to work mainly with text file. Okay, and we will see the bash application, and then let's see how far we arrive, and we will give the floor to Lunzu for the awk application. And we will see the powerful of this, let's say, old language, because it's invented in the 80s, the 70s, but it's still one of the most powerful for text manipulation and so on. So we use it quite a lot for large data and so on. So at this point, we have this quite large data set, okay, that is quite big, is 30,000 files, 30, something like 30,000 line. We can fast check, and feel free also to modify your, like I'm doing right now, modify your Jupyter Lab. So we have 50,000. So this is start to become not really huge, but let's make it smaller to have a smaller file also to see with more flexibility, with faster reading, let's say, all the command that I'm going to run. So the first procedure is to create a file that is 1,000 line height. Okay, so 1,000 row. So, and we give the name input.txt. So we are going to work with this file that has 5 columns. Nuts is the region from Europe. Y is the year, Y. MM is the months. The 0 is number of fire, in this case, forest fire, and Barea is Barnet area, is the surface of the fire that has been burned for a specific month, year. So this is the typical situation that we encounter in the moment that we have a table and we want to manipulate this table. Okay, now for convenience, as I mentioned to you, I create a table of 1,000 files, but this table, and I can show you later on, can be really huge and can be also several gigabytes and can be also several files. And so we will try to manipulate this one with a final aim to address it a bigger file. Okay, so the beauty of doing this to explore the data set, as we did last time. So with the head, you can explore the first 10 lines. Rather, with the tail, you can explore the last 10 lines. And if you put the number in the middle, you can, with the dash in front, you can explore, for example, the first 4 lines, and so on with the tail, and so on for tail also. So the tail, the same, you put 20. So I use it quite a lot to see what is going on in the last part of the file or in the beginning of the file. And then we were using also, last time we were using also more and less. So let's start with less. TXT. I open over here because in Jupyter is a bit, and that one was starting with our, okay. Okay, perfect. So with this, with less, the beauty is that you can keep scrolling and you can even keep scrolling back, okay? And we will see also as with the search, with the slash, and then you can write whatever you want to search, and then you press, and it's going to select, you press enter, it's going to select all the 2007 that you want to do. So it's quite good for this kind of operation, for fast checking and so on. So I use it quite a lot. Word count, that, as we mentioned last time, is giving to you 3 values. In particular, is giving the number of row, the number of word, and the number of character in each single file. So the one that I use more often is for sure the first one, and sometimes the second one. And you can also label -L if you get only the L stay for line, you get only the first information. So it's very common to use it to see that how big is this file, can I open, can I do something, or I need to process in another way. So these are the first stuff that you do it with when you download a text file. Again, text file, we call it text file, but they do not have only the extension as a .txt. We consider text file, ASCII file, txt, .dat, CSV, all these one are considered text file. Something to keep in mind in Bash, in the Linux environment, the default for most of the command, I would say 90% of the command or even more, the default between the column separation is the space. Okay, so if you don't write anything, he always think that the separator is the space. So be careful when you work with CSV, that quite often you receive CSV from Excel or from other software, even from ArcGIS and so on. The CSV can be treated by Bash and by Awk, but you need to specify which is the column separator. So this is quite important to have in mind. And people that are working in Linux environment quite often, they are using space separator compared to CSV. But anyway, you can do both. But and especially when there are not so when there are not space between one single column, like in this case, so there is not a space. For example, I don't have the name of the city that can be two names in one column. So then in this case, quite often everybody is using as a space separator, okay? Because it's much faster. You don't need to make it every time to identify the flag and so on. But feel free also to use the CSV. Okay, so one of the first common command that we use it is for pattern recognition. They call it pattern selection. Is the grep command. So the grep command, for example, is going to select inside to input txt file all the command, all the pattern that include this 2007. And of course, over here, you can also remove. I just put the head just for, because if not, it's becoming very long. It's long to scrolling down. So over here is selecting all the 2007. And if you do it directly inside to the command line, you can have also the color that is helping you. So for example, 2007 is helping you to visualize where are the pattern that is you are searching. Be careful because this one is searching everywhere. It's not searching one specific column. Indeed, if you change directly this one with, for example, 07, okay, and you want to search, for example, 07 for the months, but you can see over here is also getting 07 everywhere. Okay, 07 over here, and if you search, it will be 07 also inside to the number, like over here, and so on. So there are some tricks that you can use it to specify the pattern. Like, for example, if I want only the month, we can do it. We can insert also the space, for example. And you can see that if I want the months at this point, I just insert over here the space, and I can see that it's going to concentrate only the 07, and I know that space 07 space is for the months and is only in that column, because over here there is no space, and also here. So you can play a bit to for this kind of application. Another one, for example, okay, I cannot really simulate, but if you put over here this symbol, that the power, they use it for power. Okay, so this one is starting with, so it will be getting all the different row that have 07 in the beginning. Actually, if I run this one, I will not getting anything, because actually it's going to give me even an error. I don't know if this error is due to this. Let me put B. Okay. Yes. So if I put B, of course, there are first row with the B. So it's selecting with the B, the 078, there is nothing. And there is another symbol that now doesn't come to my mind for the last row. Okay. So if you want to do a pattern only in the last row, there is also another symbol. Maybe just this one on the side. I don't remember. Maybe Lonzo, you can fast checking in the manual which one is for the last row. So you can play a lot with grep, and of course every time that you do some searching, you can do also some counting of counting of the row that you are searching. So like for example, you can piping directly. We saw there was last time the beauty of the piping. So it's called piping because you pipe the output of one command to the second one. So and so on. So you can put this kind of piping, and we will see later on with the implementation in the use of oak that you can even pipe something else, whatever you like. For example, I can even pipe, now I can even say, okay, um, adding to the last law for any reason. I mean, can happen that you need to add something. So you can piping AWK, and Lonzo is going to address it, the syntax and so on. But this is just to give you a flavor how you can immediately pipe in something, and now the yours is 99. Your word count is 99, so you can modify directly. So this is over here. You can what you can pipe. Be careful what you can pipe. You can pipe all the different bash commands that are dealing with txt file, with text file. So if, for example, there is another one seed actually, seed that is for text manipulation, pattern recognition, and all this stuff. Also, this one you can pipe. So you cannot really pipe, or is extremely difficult, not difficult, rare, and I will say something. If you can pipe command that are treating binary file. So for binary file like a TIFF or a database, there are sometimes, but like for example Postgres, you can pipe something, or also somebody of you was using CDO, climate data operator. I think somebody you are guys from people from climate data. So I think I mean dealing with the climate center. Did you use CDO, climate data operator? Anyone? Yes, Alex, say yes. Okay, so this is an example, a climate data operator that you can pipe. Is one of the few that you can have a binary files that is piping in another binary, let's say. But most of the time, what you can pipe is the output of a text file. Okay, so um, so now we are going to see all these commands. Let's say that they do something inside to the file, but not too much, let's say. Like, for example, grabbing a pattern or sorting. We will see the sorting of operation. Um, and we will see also some limitation in the sense that if you need to do something more deeper inside of the file, like sum the columns or summing the row, then over there you need awk for fast manipulation of this file. So let's see now the easy one, let's say the also common. There are plenty of them. We really concentrate in a few of them that are the most common that we use. And of course, now with the use of Python in the last 10, 15 years, this command, they are replaced by Python, but we still use it quite a lot because the file are sitting in a bash environment, in your folder structure in bash environment. So it's much faster and easy also because it's just one line to manipulate this one directly into the operating system rather than go to Python and enter loading inside Python and so on. So for this kind of manipulation, we really like the, let's say, a bit old-fashioned way, but it's still very efficient. So one of also one command that is very powerful is the sort command, okay? If you enter directly, I remind to you, the dash key is for searching a command that you want to identify. So all the manual page that are dealing with the sort word key, the key minus K stands for key, and man sort is giving to you the full manual, okay? So the manual of sorting command is very big, okay? Every time I'm still looking and I find new options, so we are going to use just the most important one, and be ready and point to you some potential mistake that you can do it, that I did it also in the past, and I didn't know. I discovered after several years. Let's scrolling down, we go directly to the example. In particular, these are the key elements that you have to um, bring into your mind. So the dash key is to identify the column, that where in which column, based on which column you want to sort it, okay? So you sorting based on column number 2, okay? And this second comma 2 is to identify that you don't need to sort it based on the other row, okay? So when you identify column number 2 and then comma 2, means that you don't need the second part sorting of this part. If you don't put it, then it's going to sort based on column 2. Then when column 2 is the same, based on column 3, and when the column 3 is the same, based on column 4, and so on. Of course, this operation is longer, especially if you have many columns. So, and if you are interested only in sorting based on column number 2, you just repeat the column. So this is quite handy to have a fast sorting. Pay attention that the sorting is very heavy operation for the computer, because you have to compare one number versus all the other number and sorting accordingly. So there are different algorithms for doing this kind of operation. And in the last year, in the last probably 5-6 years, in Linux as a default, they have a multi-core operation inside to the sorting to use the different CPUs. So you can really sort in giga file. So file of 3-4 giga, they're going to sort it. It will take a while, of course, but you are going to get it the output quite fast. Okay, so it's never crashing. Let's say maybe it's just going forever, but it is not crashing at all. Or at least I never find crashing. So, and of course over here you can pipe also, and you can see that now I'm sorting based on column number 2, so the 97, and then it start the 98 and so on. Be careful, these one are just they're not really error. It's just because if you do it in the terminal, it's just a Python problem in the Jupyter notebook. If you do it in the terminal, there is no error. Okay, so if you just do it in the terminal, sort, and we can even sort in this file that is bigger, sort minus K, and just to give you an idea. So it's sorting now, you can see that it's much longer, this one. And of course you can sorting and take the head, and you can checking the first smaller file 80, so it's this one is the full size, it's not the input. And of course you can also check the tail to get also the larger number. Okay, tail is given to you 2007, and of course it's sorting also based on the letters. Okay, and this is something that you can manipulate based on this second flag that is also quite important, the G. Okay, G is generical numerical sorting. Is the one that I use more often. Be careful, please pay attention to this. There is also another one, the N, okay? So that is working fine, but not always. And I will explain this why. I don't have an example, but I will explain. So please take note. The G is allow you to sorting based, for example, if I put over here number 5, okay, so it's sorting based on numerical generical sorting. So you have the smallest down to the down to the largest. And it's perfect the same if you put number 5 over here for the dash n operation, okay? So you think that are perfect the same, but be careful, because if over here, okay, in this column you have a scientific number, so we start with the E, the typical scientific number, this one will work fine and this one will not do the sorting correctly. So pay attention about this, because in the beginning I make a big mistake. So the smallest file was not the scientific number. So, you know, it's not able to treat the scientific, even if it's with a n, because it's considered as a string numerical sorting. So in other words, always use my dash g. With dash g, you save it all the different situation. You can do it also different kind of sorting based on, but it's very rare. I never use it. So for example, you can sorting basing on the first character, only on the first character, for example, only 2 characters. Okay. So, and then there are different flag inside the sorting to play. You can sorting probably even basing on the last character, or basing on the second, on these 2, and then on this one. So it's really, you can play a lot with the sorting. This is the typical that I always use, dash G. And in case you need, you get the R for the reverse. So from up, from lower to big, and from larger to smaller. So, but usually these are the most common one. Of course, you can, of course, all the different, like I mentioned to you last time, everything that we can print into the terminal, we can save it to a file. Okay. So also in this case, for example, I can even save to a file. Yeah, text. And usually what I do it for my convenience, tap underscore S, I identify that is the sorted file. Okay. And maybe you can even, if you need, for my convention, quite often I also use it sorted, and then I put a number over here based on the first or based on the second column. So this is how I standardize my name convention for the text sorting. So it's quite useful for identify big numbers. You know, the typical situation. Okay, I want to faster checking which is the largest file, largest, the month with the most affected fire. So I just go over here, I can just put the R, and I get the reverse sorting. So I can see that in Belgium, BG in Belgium, you have, yes, in August, you have this large file coming up, and so on. So this is something that I use it quite a lot, this kind of sorting. Okay. We saw last time also the use of append. Okay. So every time that you run this, be careful, the file is rewritten, overwriting. The command is overwriting. And this is something really common in the bash environment. 95% of the time, if you rerun a command, is going to overwrite it. And most of the time without any warning. Okay. So be careful when you are overwrite, be sure that you won't overwrite. If not, you have to change the name. Also something to consider is the use of append. So if you run, for example, this command with append function, so let me run this, if not, I don't have it. Okay. So if I run this command with the append symbol, of course, my is not overwriting, just append the other section below. Okay, so this is very important during the for loop, when you, and we will see some application, when you want to keep appending some result to an existing file. Okay, so of course, with this one, you run it, what is happening that you have to be careful, because if you rerun again, this one is going to append again. Okay, so for example, now if you rerun it, this one is going to be 3000. If you rerun it, 4000, and so on. So there are some cases that the append file, we will see below, you need to remove before. So this file, if not, is becoming bigger and bigger. Is it clear? Yeah. Okay. So feel free also to have, your text file and open. Probably you have it already, a text file. And meantime that you watching, you try with your file. So feel free to have also. In this case, it's very good to have the terminal open in your folder, let's say with the text file, and try to do it in a fast way in the meantime. Okay. Yes, perfect. So we will go a bit further, and then maybe I can give you few minutes to try with your data. So be ready to have some data ready to go, some text file. If not, just download it or print screen something, export from Excel to try with this data. Okay, very good. So use of variables. Okay, so most of you are coding in different language, and you know the importance of a variable. A variable is nothing else, like the word say, is something that can change through the time, so better say through the time of the operation. So it's something that you carry over during the programming procedure, and but it's not constant. It's something that is changing. Okay, so be careful in Bash that this one is quite is not so straight like in R or even in Python. When you declare a variable, so you do var equal to 20, okay, this variable is stored in the memory. So if you do ls like you do in Bash, sorry, as you do in R, you don't see this variable, you see the file. Okay, so in order to call back the value of the variable, you need to identify with a dollar. Okay, dollar is really is a meta character that has a different meaning inside to the Bash language. So be careful how to use it and so on. So if you recall it by the command echo. Okay, so echo means printing the variable. So that one is very useful to print the variable, the value of that variable. Of course, now if you change the variable over here is printing 21, and if you change, of course, echo. Okay, this one is not working. Okay, so this is some behavior. Be careful about this. Sometimes this this one is not really working properly. So let's see if rather than this I use the dash b. Oops, sorry, not the dash b, the percentage bash. Okay, so probably now should work. Yes, it's 21. So be careful about this. Is that sometimes the Jupyter lab is not really with a one question mark is not working. So always try to put uh, the kernel, the name of the kernel that you, in this case, the bash that you want to use it, and then all the line below it here, he knows, he recognizes that are bash command. Of course, the word variable can be, you can even identify as a letter equal to a, so it's going to print variable. And of course, this one is really related to quite often. You always say, you always J, you always find the J I equal to number. Frankly speaking, I never use this JI. I always put the meaning of the variable that I'm looping, or so if I'm looping through the months, I put MM. So try always to give, if not, you don't remember what is J, what is I, quite try to put, or if you are working in a matrix, you can do row and column. So you can put R, or you can put full row and column, or C for column. So always try to give a meaning of the variable that you are trying to loop, the typical YYs for the year. And this is helping you in also when you read, you remember faster what does mean rather than putting just a letter. Okay, so this is really helping this kind of application. So why we are using the variable for the for loop, but something extremely cool also inside to the bash function is that you can give, so you can provide the output of command to a variable. So in this case, for example, my grep 2007, so this line, okay, is producing that my file has 189 line, okay, and then I can give all these command, I can really nested inside parentheses and then dollar, okay, so this one is becoming the variable, the output of my command, and then I can give to var. In this case, for example, I'm dealing with lines, I would put lines over here, okay? So in this one is going to tell me how many lines is this file producing, okay? So always try to remember these kind of syntax that you can, and of course, be careful, no space. And actually one of these, I think they does not give even an error. Okay, here you get an error, but there are some of these, maybe this one, that you don't get any error, but you can stay age and try to figure out why it's not working and so on. So try always to be sure that you don't have you don't have space after the variable. Quite often you see also yes, so quite often you see also this syntax in my code, also on internet and so on. So when you print it, okay, or when you recall it the variable name, they also put the curly brackets around. Okay, so this is to be able, so if you do, for example, over here, you can write here, or yes, like this. So this allow you to nest it, or to keep it something, to give a string manipulation before, to allow yes, to write a string before the y. This is quite important also, because in case you have some variables that have a space in the middle, like this, you can even print the variable with a space in the middle. So it's quite common to put the curly brackets for this kind of reason, because you can have space in the middle of the variables, and also because you can attach something else. And we will see down into the script some in the for loop how this is very handy. Okay, so as we mentioned, the variable are the most important for the for loop. Why? Because first of all, okay, the for loop, I think, is very clear for everybody. It's nothing else than an operation that need to be repeated for several times. And you have the variable that you are carry over. So for example, over here, the variable var, that is my year. Actually, I can also change to year. Yeah, also it's quite common to have the variable name in bash capital letter, you see better, but it's not really a must. I mean, it's really depending how you want to do it. So by this one, you can see that I'm searching, I'm reading the file. Be careful over here. I'm reading the file 3 times. And the first time I'm searching 2005, second time 2006, and so on. So this will produce a very long file, okay, where I have the first time 2005, second time 2006. So if I scroll down, I have 2006, and if I scroll even down, that one. So so now one question for you: is this for loop efficient or not? Any question? Any answer, actually? Is it efficient, or can I do it in another way, even if you don't know how to do it, but at least the concept? Marianne, you are in mute. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just thinking it depends what we actually want to do with that loop. I'm not sure exactly.
yeah, with this one, I'm searching, let's suppose that this is a big file, okay, 3-4 gigabyte. Yes. So I want to search 2005, 2006, and I want to maybe even count how many line for each one of these, okay? So I want to do this one, and I want to retrieve, for 2005, I have 121 line, for 2006, 280, and so on. So is this efficient or not?
Well, at least now we have the count of line for every year, so that's
Perfect. Yes.
that's better than before.
Yeah.
But,
Perfect. Yes,
yeah.
but we still have a question. I still have a question for you guys. How many times this file is read?
Yeah, it's being read
Three times. Three
Yeah.
times. So
We've had to
perfect.
read
So
it just once.
bravo, very good, Felicity. Very good. So I can, in this case, in this kind of situation, and the reading operation, especially if it's a big file, now it's very small, it will be the same. I built up the loop, there'll be, but in this kind of operation, we will see that Oak, you can insert in Oak different, actually you can insert in Oak different flag and I mean syntax, and you can read the file only one time. But even better, just come to my mind, the grep function, okay, has okay, so the grep command has one function, one flag. So let me put 2000, 2005, that give me immediately the -n giving to me the number of, so in this case, okay, be careful because now it's searching everywhere. So I'm putting 2005 over here. I'm putting the space in this way. I'm sure that it's okay. 2005. No, sorry, it's not -n, minus c count. Okay. So in this case, for example, 2005 is giving to me this line. It's giving to me immediately the number of counts. So could be if I start to play a bit and I put now I don't know immediately, but we will need to test it. So if I put 2006 and I put probably the two pattern, and I think for the two pattern you need the -e and -e also here. Okay, this one is giving to you probably the sum between 2005. So maybe you need another one over here, -c. Maybe not. Yeah, probably not. Anyway, this is the concept that I want to transfer. Always try to think if you can do some operation by reading the file only once, because this is the, especially if there are big files where you can play. And we will see it with Oak. Maybe to keep in mind this situation that probably you have some if condition in the Oak that you can count in this case two number of two number, but always try to keep in mind and reading carefully the manual, because there are several bash commands that they have this kind of operation already nested inside. So this one is one, for example, that giving to you immediately the number. Another one, for example, that is also quite, I don't have the example over here, that is quite handy, is the unique command, okay? So this is super handy. I use it quite a lot to give information. So for example, unique. So be careful because now is this, let me buy this one. Actually, let's do it. Okay. I add another line, this way I don't touch too much. Okay, so for example, my input file, let's work with this big one that is more efficient. This one, text. Copy, paste. So for example, we will see if, for example, I want to now with Oak, for example, you can print just the first column, and Lozu is going to explain each single command. So over here, I can print each single column, for example. This is super important, this command. We need the bash in front. Okay, so over here, I'm printing just the first column. Okay, so now, for example, I want to do a unique command to print only the unique element in the first column. Okay, and even better, for example, so be careful about this, because this is not the case, but before, because it's already sorted, before to run unique, you need to sort the file. So in this case, you sort the file, then you do unique, then you do unique, okay? And in this case, you are sure that it's sorting, first sorting all the file, then it's compressing all the unique value. And then if you do -C, or now, I think now is the opposite, yes, -C is counting how many observation you have for that unique value. So this is super handy, because to do this operation, for example, you have to build up a for loop for this one, like very similar to this one that we did. But with this one, with only one line, everything is done, because this is the typical situation where a for loop can be, if you know, I mean, if you read carefully the command, the manual, and you search in internet, you can find this kind of application. And actually, I always use unique, and then after a while, I discovered the -C that identify how many formation yes, given to me is the information about how many unique. So I use it quite a lot, this one to loop into TXT file, counting observation, see how many unique file I have, to see if my ID is unique, okay? Because you can have an ID that you think that is unique, and rather it's not. Then it's coming out that BG31 is coming more than once, so means that it's not unique. So try to use quite a lot this command as a combination, because they're really really important. Okay, Lonzo, do you use quite a lot this unique -C and so on? I think so, no? Me and Lonzo, we work very in the similar way. I think he's also used quite a lot. Yeah, so this is the perfect example that I would just manipulate before in the use of the word count. There are also other syntax inside the for loop, and we are trying to see which one they are and try to get familiar also. In this case, for example, I have just 3 years, so I just type 2005, 6, and 7. Right? But of course, if you have a long series, you are not going to use it each single writing each single year. So there are also these syntax 2000 from for year variable in 2000 from 2000 until, be careful about this one. This is coming from a C syntax, until 2008, increased by 1. And they use this var plus, okay? So and this one is going 2000, 2000, 2008, 7, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 8. So this is another one. Let's see. There is also this one that is quite common. Actually, I use even more. Sequence, $, and this is again. This is the typical example that you can use a command from 2007, 2000. Let's put 10. Okay, so the sequence is giving to me. The command sequence is giving to me from 2000. Yes, 2000 to 2010 is giving to me, a number of sequence. and I can use this one as a sequence, and I can list over here, and now I'm going to list it and list in between square brackets, okay? And so these allow you to have a long sequence. You can also use it another number too, and actually yes, no, it's in the middle. So if you put, for example, the sequence from 2000 to 2010, jumping every 2, so you can have also this. Quite often I use more this one than this. For example, if they are doing perfectly the same. This one is shorter to write. Also come, I don't remember never if it's 2 brackets, 1 bracket. Here then you cannot have space, so I always go with this one quite often. Okay. Let me see, conditional for loop. Yes. So be careful about this situation, and let's try also to work around in our mind how this for loop is working. Okay, so first of all, what is doing this for loop? Is counting over here, is searching in 2000, we say, and is counting how many lines is getting. Okay, so 1 second, I need to see if I'm doing. Okay. Yes, so this kind of operation is producing a file every time, is appending the result to this file. Okay, so the first time that you are running this, you need to remove the file. And in particular, now that you are running, okay, so then the first time that is running 2000, this file is going to be created, okay, and so on. And the second time is going to add the information again to this file, okay. So this will allow to append the result for 2000, for 2001, 2002, and so on. Be careful that if you don't remove this, if you don't remove, you keep running this command every time, this one is getting longer and longer and longer, okay, this file over here, because it's never set up again, it's never removed from the beginning of the for loop. Okay, so pay attention when you use the append, that the information can be appended, the file becoming bigger and bigger, and is not storing the second time. So in other words, if I rerun this one and count the number of row in this, and I do WC cell, so you can see that every time that I run, if I run again, it's going to be bigger and bigger. Okay. Rather, if I remove it before the for loop, every time that is running is going to be always 9, because I remove it at each time. So again, pay attention about when you append the information, you need always to remove the file. So this is very tricky to avoid mistake. You don't get, in this case, you don't get any syntax error, but then you can having trouble in the result, let's say. Okay, let me see this and this. Okay, so of course this is a simple operation. A for loop in Bash can become very big, and inside to this for loop operation, you can insert if condition. If condition, for example, we have perfect the same. Operation that we want to grab the year, and counting how many information we want, but we don't want 2005. But be careful about this symbol, it's not equal. It's not with the not in general is identified in Bash as a exclamation mark. Okay, so this one is going to count the operation. Is going to do the operation, but not for 2000 years. So we can even do it a bit more, and this one you can modify also on the fly, like I'm doing. Of course, this one is correct, but let's say you want also the information about the year before. So you can echo the command, you can echo the variable $here, okay? But be careful, because now all these full command up to here need to be passed to the echo, okay? So in this case, what you do it, you nest it inside the square brackets and you put the dollar in front, okay? So this will allow you to have the echo printed, but also sorry. Okay, so it's going to give you the dollar, the variable printed, but also the value. And as you can see, the 2003 has been skipped, so there is no 2003. Okay, so here we can see in this other example, we can see the perfect. Let me make it smaller. This way you can see. Okay, perfect. So over these two examples are very similar, but they are different in the computational thinking, let's say, of the computer. The results are perfectly the same. What are the difference? Okay, let me bring like before. This way they are really similar, we don't get confused. So this one, they were like before. Okay, perfect. So over here, which are the difference? This is perfectly the same, everything is the same, but over here, you have the appending inside to the for loop, and over here is outside to the loop, okay? Both of them are correct, but they are different from a computational point of view. So now one question, which is the main difference on this? Anyone can suggest the difference.
Will it in the first one write one line each loop, whereas the second one will write everything at once at the end?
Perfect, very, very good, Felicia. So over here, every time that is getting 1 year is going to write to the file and append it. Over here, rather is going to do it the full loop and then write to the file. Okay, both of them are correct, but when to use which one? In which case you will use one, in which case you will use the other one. And in particular, okay, during the for loop, where this number goes. In this case, okay, before to arrive to this file, where they are stored. Anyone?
The buffer?
Yeah, the buffer, in the memory, in the RAM. Okay, so over here, every time that there is a for loop, the function of one year in this case is going to be written to the file. So it's going to the RAM and written, going to the RAM and written. Okay, rather in this one is going to stay into the RAM until the for loop is ending. Okay, which one will be faster? Again, is depending from the situation. This one is going to be faster and efficient if this file, the final file, is not big. Okay, rather this one is going to be really RAM demand. Sorry, this one is going to be really RAM demand if this operation, the full operation, is very big. So let's suppose that this processing is not storing only one line, it's storing 2000 lines. So every year has to store 2000 lines into the RAM until it's pulling out immediately. Okay, so be careful about the for loop. Again, most of the time they are going to be the same speed because the file are not so big, but as soon they become very large, the file, then you have to think carefully. And how you think carefully? Okay, I'm producing a large file. Is this one a very large file or not? Because if this one is already 2-3 giga file, is going to be stay in the RAM until it's over. Rather, if this one is very small, you don't need it because it's a small file. I'm just appending the number of per year, so it can stay in the RAM. Okay, so bash awk is very difficult that you fill it up the RAM. Okay, so that's why they are super efficient. Been written like 40 years ago when the RAM was 1 byte maybe, and so they wrote in such a way they never fill it up the RAM. But in some cases, like in this, in the for loop, can be that this file is very big, the output is very big, and you fill it up the RAM. Okay, so I was encountering this situation sometimes. And what I did it, I just appended my output every time. Okay, so be careful. Always try to think how the computer works and how you can always have two situations. I'm writing to the disk. I'm writing to the RAM, and if the RAM is filling up, I don't have any more computational power. So I need to find a way to write my intermediate result to the disk. Okay, so be careful about this concept and so on. Okay, perfect. Yes, so this is another example. For example, where I was actually, it's pretty the same. I was retrieving for each single year. Okay, for each single year, I was retrieving the largest file. So how I was doing, for example, I was retrieving each year, I sorting them based on column number 5, okay, and then I get just the last line. And this one will help me, this one to have just the largest file because it's the last row in the sorting operation, and I retrieve my table that that has this kind of connotation. So it's very common to work with this kind of application with this for loop, and we will see some, let's say, hands-on on a large file how this is performing and how these operations are efficient and so on. Okay. Yes, bravo. Alicia is asking me over here what the fee is doing. Yeah, good question. So this one is the if condition. Perfect. That's not equal to that. And this one, the fee, is the closing of the if condition. Okay. So be careful. Is a bit. This is really typical for people. Bash language for people coming from Python. The indent is not really needed. You don't need. You just put the indent just to have a fast reading. But you need to always close the if or close also the for loop. Okay. Rather, people coming from Python, they just go to the other line and they consider the loop closed. In Bash language, you always need the done for closing the bash and the fee for closing the if condition. Okay. Something also very important is to check during a for loop, especially when the for loop is long, to check what the computer is doing. Okay, because as we can see over here, it was going to give us the result just in the end. So there are two ways. There are a few ways. I will check it. This one, you can print the variable and what it's doing. So if you run this one, in the meantime, now it's going to be super fast, but maybe, yes, it's very fast. But anyway, if you run it in a large file, this one is going to be, okay, processing 2000, then wait, processing 2001, 2003, and so on. So you know that is keeping progressing because it's printing. So it's very common to have the echo of the variable, okay? So, and this one we will see, especially when you work in a supercomputer, that you don't see what is going on. You need to store to check the log file or the standard output file. And this one is very common to print whatever you are in the process. Okay. So again, the fee is closing the if condition, okay. So this was for Alicia and Alejandro, they were asking. And something also important, that during the for loop, you can see and check if the result of your for loop are correct or not. So you build up your for loop, and then, okay, in 2000, for example, in 2002, is going to be 2778. Okay, let me grep. So in this case, let me run this. Let me run this. And then I can see, for example, in 2002, so it's going to be what, the third file. So this one, I can use it and compare by running one single line if my file is correct or not, my operation. So I always do it in this way, that I take just 1 year, and 1 year, one variable, one processing of the for loop. I check it. Okay, it's correct. I build up my for loop. During that is running, I get the first result, and maybe I double check again what is doing. So this is the typical situation that you can pass over. Okay, and this is the kind of example that I did before, that you can print the year, and then what is doing also to see the final result. Or you can also, like I mentioned before, you can even nest it everything over here and nested the computation all together, and you can have 2000 a year and so on. And then 2000 and so on. So something extremely important also is to check the efficiency of your computation, is to put time in front. Okay. This is giving to you the time for the for loop, so up to here, and then the time you can use it in front of each command, okay, even for sorting everything, and it's going to compute how fast is your process, is the overall process. So in this case, is the overall process from here to here. So as you can see now, we are below the second, so it's extreme, actually minutes, this one, I think. So it's very fast, so there is no need to speed up this kind of thinking, to speed up. I mean, it's always a trade-off between how much time you need to writing a better code and how fast is the computation. If the file are small, don't worry, just do it as in a fast way, and as fast as the coding goes, and then you can think about some additional operation. Okay, so I will addressing the debugging after the break. So let's have a 15-minute break. So we come back, let's say at 25. We come back at 25. So in this way we can drink in some water and so on. And if you don't want a break, just try the command line. Okay, see you soon. Recording, yes, no? Yes, so Said was saying that it's very common to gather, oops, now it's not disappeared. It's very common to, yes, okay. So it's very common to together with all the shortcuts that was mentioned. So something is, for example, Control K and then Control Y, you paste it. But something very useful is that you paste one line. When you select, is already copy in the memory. And then, for example, you want to go in another way, you with the center of the mouse, you just paste it and you get back the line immediately. So with a, yes, with a little roller over here. So this is very, thanks for reminder. I use it quite a lot also. I have to say that sometimes it's not, sometimes it's also, it's a bit, I never understood also this stuff, because sometimes when you select, it's different, the control Y and the roller over here, you know. So the roller is selecting, is pasting what you have select, rather the control Y is pasting what you have cut with the control K, okay? So with all these kind of, you can become very fast, and something very useful that is also working from the web, you know, from not only the terminals, or whatever you copy, then you can paste. So I use it quite a lot if I have to paste some command from this Stack Overflow, some URL in wget and so on. So especially people with the Windows, so not with the Mac, these they work quite fine in the virtual machine. With the Mac is a bit, it's not really so. Sometimes I heard, I never tested, so so it's good that you remind. Okay, very good. Some other sharing knowledge in Bash environment that somebody has been want to share and try, and that want to have. Marianne, you were using the Bash from how many years you came to Matera? 2 years ago? 3 years ago, maybe?
It was in 2017.
17. Okay.
Yeah, and it's just that, well, I'm discovering Jupyter Lab, but I mean, I like Gedit. I think it's also quite nice. That's what you taught at that time.
Yes, so the editor, feel free to pick up whatever you like. You know, there is also gedit, is another one. Is not, I think, is not the default. Gedit.
Yeah,
No,
I've heard.
yeah, it's not the default, but just sudo apt install, you
Yeah.
get gedit. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I've done that, and yeah, it's fine. I saw that, I don't know, people apparently also use Vim, I've heard.
yeah, VI is also another one. Frankly speaking, I don't use it. Don't you use it a bit more? I don't like it. Not that I don't like it. I don't remember the shortcuts, so I always use Emacs. And Emacs is both of them, VI, Emacs, are very handy, especially when you work into a remote computer, because with the Emacs and W, no, not Windows, means you can, you know, this is becoming your. 1 second. So if you do Emacs text, for example, text.sh. So this one is becoming your editor. Is the
Okay,
terminal,
yeah.
is your editor. So it's super fast. You can work also through the mobile with a network via mobile. Not really typing, not in the mobile, because I'm not a millennial. So, but through the internet, if it's very low internet connection, this one is very light. Rather, everything that is open, an X term, they call it an X11 term, that one. So even the same Emacs that is opening another window, or gedit, or they become very slow in working remotely. And especially if I'm in Europe and need to working with a supercomputer over here, these are the most efficient tools, VI and Emacs, that you work inside to the terminal as editor. Of course, you don't have the fancy interface, the plotting capability of Jupyter Lab and so on, but this is how we work in these circumstances. Okay, very
good to know. Good to know. Yeah,
So,
but except from that, I mean, also lastly, I haven't been so much actually on Bash. I felt like I really shifted during the PhD. I'm mostly using R. And then at the start of the PhD, I really wanted to just convert completely on Linux. But then, yeah, we still had quite a lot of things like on teaching. So instead of going on Linux, we were asked to use Arc Pro. And it's like, so
Okay.
But yeah, that's just how it is. So it's good. It's actually good reminders. I'm trying to
Okay.
follow up. Sometimes I don't listen too much because I have also other things to do, but I do remember most of it.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, yeah. Okay, very good. Somebody else want to share some other tricks and doubts and question and want to see, okay, I have this bunch of file, what do you think I can do it? This is the right moment to do it in this case. I mean, we have this time for this kind of interaction and so on. Anyone?
Well, sorry if I'm just jumping in again, but
Yeah.
we had a small break and Julia was mentioning about using PK tools. I know that's much further maybe in the course, but to do extract statistics with a virtual mosaic. And
yeah,
I don't know, maybe Julia, you can mention about it, but I was quite surprised she couldn't manage, but maybe, I don't know. I wasn't sure exactly what it was about. So if you feel like talking about it, Julia, or if you...
Yeah, I got an error and now, but now I'm running it again and I will see if it works when it's done. But it could, I did something and then it used only the first band. So I had multiple TIFFs in that VRT. And I think it once used only the first band, but now I'm running it again. I don't know if it works now. But
which is the
yeah.
command, the PK?
PK extract OGR.
Oh, PK extract OGR. Yes, I think. Okay, let's see the test. Is there is not any flag in PK start OGR. Should give. I mean, I think that is working on only one band. Most of the time I use it for one band, so I'm number of beans, and so could be that you have to create a loop for having the other band reading, or
Okay.
you can use also VRT for VRT1 for band 1, VRT2 for band 2, and so on. Yeah, I don't remember if I use it in the multi-band files, but let us know the output, and then we can figure out some application and so on. Okay.
Okay, so it's not in general not working for multi-band. It's has to be
I
some
don't remember. I
sort
need
of
to
loop.
test it.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to test it. Yeah.
Okay.
Meanwhile, can you try to go over here? It's already here, the PK tools. If you go PK tools, raster vector operation. So in one of the last line, there is the PK stat, and you can actually even try because the file are already there. We are going to address this stuff next week, starting with GDAL next week. Yeah. Okay. Some other somebody else was try with Bash, and Rosalia, Jacopo, Felicity.
Yeah, to me, it's the first time that I'm using Bash. So I'm still quite learning. I'm just getting some.
Okay, cool.
Also YouTube help.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, start to use it quite a lot. For first of all, for file management, copying file, moving file, remove it, create folder, all this kind of this operation. Try not to do it in the graphical user interface, or try not to do it also in Python, in R, but moving towards the file management. And then the second step is working with the file. Okay. And these are quite handy and so on. Somebody else, the two girls, Rosalia, Felicity, do something.
The same. I'm also very new, so I'm just trying out like all the things
Okay.
that we went to.
Perfect.
So far so good. It works.
Okay.
But I will go into deep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's continue a bit with the Jupyter Lab. We have just a few more let's say Bash part. Something that you will face quite a lot is the debugging. Okay. So the debugging of Bash is I would say that quite often the terminal tell you what to do, quite often, but sometimes it's a bit tricky. So, and we will see how it can be tricky in some context. For example, so if we have most of the time the flag, the debugging are more in the for loop. The single command line, yes, you can have it, but you can understand it quite faster. So in these circumstances of the for loop, I will mention a few of them that they can be in overlapping. Also because you come from Python. So for example, one of the common mistake common mistake that can happen is, for example, that you don't close the for loop, okay? And especially you don't put it done. So especially people from coming from Python, there is the indent, so they don't remember. And of course, for each for, you need one done. And if you have two for, you have two done, and so on. So sometimes if there are 3 or 4 nested for loop, then you start to forget which one is which, and you forget it done. So this operation, of course, you get, these are not, up to here are just bash command. And then these are just Python error that Jupyter is trying to deal in to solve with Python. And of course, it's not neither a Python problem, and it's Troy. But this is just what you will receive from bash, okay? So line 3, so it's telling you that is in line 3 something's missing. And syntax error, unexpected end of file. Over here, unexpected end of file is because is unexpected end off of the line, let's say. So it's because it's missing one done. This kind of information can be also when you're missing one parenthesis. So it's quite, so over here, I think down here, there is something also that the same lines, or sometimes you can have also unexpected token over here, close to the brackets. Okay, so this is also because over here the syntax. Sorry, this one is related to here, because over here you are missing the information. You have a space, like I mentioned before. Okay, so syntax error near unexpected token, and you get some information over this line. Be careful that sometimes they give you information about these parentheses, but it's because maybe over here is missing the closing, so is also wrong the opening. So try to always read what the terminal is telling you. Yes, I know if it become very complex script, it's not easy to debugging, but like always, you come from other language, so after a while you start to pick up very fast the different syntax error. Okay, and then something also very common that you make a mistake in the command. No, so grep command, grep not found, because I make a mistake in rather than grep, I wrote grep, or something also that you can get this one is command not found is when, for example, let's suppose that you want to do a flag here and you do the -n, but then you forgot to put, so this one in this case is interpreted as a file, and then you can see, okay, the file is missing, or so sometimes this information can be coming because you mistreatment the syntax and you get error that is thinking that is something else, like is missing a file. Okay, so this is quite, the beginning can be hard, but then through the time is coming along how to deal with. Something also, okay, I use this one just to avoid a lot of printing error as a bash, the warning and so on. So in this case, for example, I was misusing the flag in word count, as it's telling me, invalid option. This is quite straight command, straight debugging information. WC invalid option. So it tells you that the dash key is not existing. So this is quite handy to solve it. And then without consider all the all the syntax error. And one of the quite often mistake, especially in the beginning, is the directory not exist or the file does not exist. So this is the typical situation where you didn't put the correct path or the correct name and the file is not existing. So try always to go into the terminal, enter in the directory. So I use it quite a lot also, this command, cd, for example, c exercise text file, txt. So for example, if you want, it's something very common, is working with a, not with a relative path, but with a full path. So let's suppose I want to take the full path of this file. Okay, I use quite a lot, and actually I have also alias for read link. Okay, dash f stands for file, and then you put xy, and this one is giving to you the full path of the file. So then you again, like Said was mentioned, you select this one, and then, for example, you paste over here, paste. Okay, my mouse sometimes doesn't paste. Perfect. So over here, I use it. You use it the full path. Okay, so this is very common to have the full path. Something also in Bash environment to have in the beginning of a scripting procedure is to have the directory where you are working, and this one is becoming a variable. So quite often I use it dir or dirin, for example, equal to, and in this case I put that I'm working that file. Okay, so and over here I'm going to use $dir slash, okay, to working for in that file. So these allow you to have always one directory over here, and then you keep calling that directory to the related path. So after a while, I never put the full path, and I always put all the directory, because you have in the beginning maybe dir, and quite often I do the typical dir in, dir out, dir in, dir out, and maybe I have the folder with txt out, txt in. Okay, so in this way I know that these are my input file, these are going to be my output file, and then inside here I always declare the variable, and I always recall the variable $dir out slash, yes, test out.txt, for example. Okay, so this is how we quite common use that we declare the variable at the beginning, and then over here you have just the name of the file. Okay, so these allow you that if you change the script and you change the location of the file, you just need to change the path over here, and you don't need to change in all the full computation. So try to get familiar also with this kind of syntax format, that you always declare the variable where you are working at the beginning, and then you keep going on the procedure over here. Okay. Yeah, very good. So this one is just if you want to keep it to your directory clean, and you want to remove the intermediate file. So I will put, I didn't have time, but I will put this afternoon, I will put some, let's say, Bash assignment that you are free to do it for next time. And they are going to be, in most of the using this kind of this kind of bash command that we see in the class, but also sometimes searching for new commands that we didn't cover. So, and then next time, actually I already anticipate for Thursday, tomorrow I'm getting my second vaccine here in America. They're going very fast. So I don't know if I will be knocked out by the vaccination or I will be fine. So on Thursday, you will be, I don't know if I will be present or you will be together just with Lonzo that is going to carry over the operation and the classes. And this is going to be the assignment. Usually we go through the following lecture and asking if there are doubts, if you did it. I mean, they are not compulsory assignment, but if you want to have something to deal with and to learning, feel free to do it. Or even reading the assignment, okay, rather than do it with this data, I can do the same assignment or slightly different with my data, or building up something with your data. I have a bunch of TXT files. I was trying to extract the maximum value in all these TXT files. So I built up this loop. So these are really open to you guys, also link it with your best interest and so on. Or starting to modify something that you have done in R that was slowly with tables and so on. So you can start to do it in Bash and so on. So we have this kind of interaction. They're very good because you're sharing knowledge among you, and so it's helping a lot in both directions. Okay, so this is so far. If you don't have any question on the Bash environment, at least for now, I will give the words to Lonzo, that is covering up AWK. And in particular, Lonzo, are you ready for AWK? And in particular, AWK is going to be over here, the tutorial. Lonzo, yes, you are in mute. Okay, perfect. You are alive.
Yeah, I'm here.
Very good. And I will stop my sharing, and Lonzo is taking over from